Welcome back to the manor. Julian McBain here, and we are still hunting bots. But we're actually using skill up pills because I'm sitting on, like, well, way the hell too many of them, apparently. So, got a couple things I want to chat about tonight. It's actually a Sunday night. I don't usually record on Sunday nights, but I've got Lodge on Monday, and I don't want to have to record a video after Lodge. Yeah, you're a spider. Your life is safe. Sorry, I looked up and I saw what I thought was an insect and turned out to be a spider. And I'm sure some of you are like, why aren't you going to squish the spider? I don't squish spiders because spiders eat insects. I don't like insects. I do like spiders. Anyway, before we get too deep, if you're new to the channel, welcome to the manor. Please take a moment and subscribe down below. We are on the road to 13 million subscribers, one subscription at a time, so make sure you subscribe. Also, please consider going to patreon.com/JulianMcBain if you want to support my work. If you do, you'll get exclusive content. And I believe next weekend I'll be doing September's exclusive video. I haven't quite decided what that's going to be on yet. I will let you know as soon as I can. So, all right. So on Sunday's video, which is actually the day I'm recording this, I was talking about my goals and the goals that I've set, and I just kind of wanted to discuss the reason that I do that. And for those of you who are newer to my content, I think it's important that I review this. Those of you who have been with me a long time, it's unnecessary, but please indulge me as I explain this, because I think it's really important to understanding what I'm doing here, because I am not your typical content creator. Most content creators, they come in, they play the game, they talk about the game. Sometimes it's very repetitious, sometimes it's not. Some of them treat it more like a vlog, which is kind of what I do, but not quite. But there's real meaning behind doing that. And so I just wanted to share with you the meaning behind what I do, why I do things like share my goals, and what I'm trying to accomplish with this channel, because it's come a long way from where I started, and there's a reason that I grow as slow as I do, and I'm okay with that. And I really am. And you can go through all of my playlists and look at all the shit that I've done in the past, and I'm approaching 1,000 videos, I'm pretty sure. I don't know exactly how many videos I have, but it's many. For a while I was posting daily. But I want you to understand what I'm doing here, so that you have a better understanding of what this channel is all about. I posted my goals for I did a video on my goals for a number of reasons. The first is, by sharing my goals with you, I am automatically held accountable for achieving them. Because at some point, someone who is subscribed to this channel will ask me how far I came in achieving those goals. Now, as it happens, I generally review my goals every December and, you know, meet out my wins and take my licks for my failures. But it's important to me that I have that accountability. And this time, because I'm restarting the clock, so to speak. You know, I fell by the wayside for a while, and I fell by the wayside because, of course, COVID. I think everyone's goals got stalled due to COVID. And hang on just a second. Okay, I can follow up with that later. But something that didn't occur to me, and it's something I should have caught on to sooner, is that I should not have let COVID get in the way of my goals. And like a lot of, I mean, who didn't let COVID get in the way of their goals, right? COVID got in the way of the whole world's goals. Well, okay, not the powers that be, but, you know, regular people's goals and what they were searching for and what they were trying to do. And I believe that was a mistake. And yes, a lot of us were facing a lot of things, draconian lockdowns, a virus that we still to this day don't have a complete grasp on or understand. So there was good reason to abandon goals or to temporarily suspend goals. But I think it hurt us. I think it hurt us a lot. And so this is me doing my best to return to normal. by laying out what I plan to do and exactly why I'm doing it. More importantly, it's not superficial. I specifically laid out 3 arguments for why I had each and every goal. And I think that's important. I think it's important to have those arguments, because if you can't argue the reason you're doing something and why it's important, there's no reason to do it. And so, or someone's going to pick it apart. It's like, well, why would you do something like that? That doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. And if you don't have any good argument for it, then, well, maybe they're right. Maybe it doesn't make any sense for you to be doing what you're doing. And then you have lost the path that you have set out for yourself, and now you have nowhere to go. Or you got to go searching again. And that's not necessarily a good thing. So yeah. That's the reason I do it. And that's the reason I talk about philosophy all the time. And that's basically what this channel is. It's a channel of philosophy, and it's a channel of a very specific kind of philosophy where it reinforces the will of the individual to be able to overcome the obstacles in their lives. And the reason for it, and I know a lot of people, they aim for social change, right? I know a lot of people, they aim for social change. They're trying to change things broad strokes, and I think that's a mistake. I fundamentally think that's incorrect. And the reason I think that's incorrect is because you can't change a whole society without changing the individuals. Just trying to change the broad umbrella of things without changing the things that form its foundation is useless, because you're missing the point. What that turns into is, well, frankly, it's a horror show. Because they did that in the Soviet Union, and look what happened there. And so you've got to drill down to the individual. And so I have decided to build the best possible life I can make for myself, not just despite, but because of all the mistakes I have made. And that's a very important distinction. It's a very important distinction. I understand that I am an imperfect being. I'm far from perfect. I have made all kinds of mistakes. There are mistakes I've made that I'm so embarrassed about I won't share them with anyone. And I'm a pretty open guy. Nothing criminal. Nothing criminal. But embarrassing. But there's a need, in my opinion, I have an obligation to society to build the best life I can for myself that I can. And we've discussed this at length in other videos, because if I build the best life I have for myself, then that will help other people to consider building the best lives they can have for themselves. And maybe if I can influence them a little bit to make their lives a little bit better, they can influence others, and that'll kind of trickle across the society as a whole. Because I think it is that each individual of us, we're all the center of a network, right? On average, any individual will know between 500 and 1,500 people. Of them, you probably know a dozen of them really well, outside of your own family. And even then, in your own family, you probably only know your siblings and their kids and your parents really well, right? Maybe, depending on where you're from, maybe you're close to some cousins. I know when I was younger, I was very close to my cousins. As an adult, there are cousins that I used to hang out with all the time I haven't seen in over a decade. Like, that's serious. But the effort I put forth to make my life as good as possible influences my son. And it influences my parents. It influences my best friend. And so they have changed certain things based on the results they see from me. And some of it's because of the wins I've had, and some of it's because of the mistakes I've made. And they see, oh, he tried that and it really didn't go the way he planned. I'm not going to do that. And you know what? I'm okay with that, because I learned the same thing from them. And am I trying to change society? No, not at its core. I'm just trying to help people make the best lives for themselves that they can. And I'm doing it from an imperfect place. And I've been very, very upfront about that, is I do not have a perfect life. You know? If you go watch my McBain moments, I dress like that every single day. I don't generally wear the jacket because it's usually too warm, but I dress like that every single day. I come home. I live on a woodchuck property. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the phrase, it's a colloquialism for, it's a Vermont hillbilly or a redneck. And I have no problem with that because I've jumped on a tractor, and I've said this before, I jumped on a tractor in my suit and moved dirt. You know, change into jeans, jump on a four-wheeler and go travel, you know, riding down into the woods. I'm going to be hunting again for the first time in, 15 years this year. I got my licenses. I have no fucking clue where I put them, but I got my hunting license. And actually, I'm really hoping to hit the bear that's rolling through here. That probably won't be this year. I think I missed her. We have a black bear. Or a couple of black bears. I think it's a singular one. But I don't know how long black bear live on average. I'll have to look that up. And we've had this black bear. At least one black bear has crossed our property once or twice a year, every year, the entire 22 years that we've been here. And in fact, it was the first time we found out about the black bear. My grandfather comes in, back when he was alive. This was back in 1999. So that tells you how long ago this was. I was 15 years old. My grandparents are up visiting us. My grandfather was doing what he does, which is he stands in the garage early morning with his cup of coffee, or what he did, I should say, and he was standing in the open garage with a cup of coffee and a cigarette. And he's enjoying the weather. It was a little damp, but, you know, it's Vermont, and he had spent many years up here, and frankly speaking, I'm pretty sure he would have preferred to live out the last of his days here, even though that wasn't going to end up being the case. And he watches as this bear comes plodding out of the woods into the road, because of the way the house is set up. The house is really close to the road. It's about one car length at the garage. Just enough room for a car to be off the road and clear. So he's standing in the garage door about one car length from the road, and across the road is the snow machine trail comes almost directly across from the garage, and the bear kind of rolls out of the wood off the snow machine trail and kind of wanders across the road into the yard and crosses into my dooryard, which is a driveway to non-Vermonters, and walks right past him, and then just goes back over the bank into the woods again. And so you think about this. You've got, imagine you are standing there. You probably weigh 160 pounds. He probably weighed what I weigh now, about 160 pounds. And you're standing there with your morning coffee. You've probably been awake all of 15 minutes, right? You're standing there with your cup of coffee and your morning cigarette, because, you know, it's the 90s. Smoking was still pretty common, and it didn't have the stigma attached to it that it does today, although we did know what the health consequences were. Not as good as we know now, but we certainly knew better then than when he started smoking back in the 50s. I think that's not being very charitable. It was probably the 60s, although I'm pretty sure both grandparents of mine started smoking when they were in their early teens, because it wasn't illegal back then for you to smoke at 14. You know, they had ashtrays in the classroom, and so you're out there, and this bear wanders by you, and you're less than 6 feet from it. And keep in mind, black bear generally are more afraid of you than you are of them, but they're still 400 pounds. You don't fuck with them. And to just have this, you know, massively powerful predator just kind of wander by you and kind of look at you a little bit as he wanders by and goes down into the woods. You know, from what I understand, and keep in mind, this was this was 21 years ago. Okay. Bear wanders by him and goes down into the woods. He subsequently puffs the rest of his cigarette and then walks back into the house looking like he's white as a sheet. Like, my grandfather had dark skin. because he was outside all the time. He was always darkly tanned, and his Indian blood really came out during the summer, and it was summer. And so he was just darkly tanned, and he comes in white as a sheet. Don't remember where I was going with that. We were talking goal setting. Hunting. Oh, hunting. Redneck, hillbilly, woodchuck, white collar. Okay. I found my way back. Sorry. Tangents. I'm good for that. If you're new to the channel, I'm really good for that. But no, so like, I don't say this as if I'm high and mighty or hoity-toity. I'm working on myself as well. And it's important to me that, you know, as I figure things out, I want to share them with you. And so that's what I'm doing here, is I'm building culture, is what it comes down to. I think that our culture has moved too far away from what it means for us to focus on ourselves as individuals. And I think that's to our detriment. I think that's very, very much to our detriment, because we've abandoned what it means to build oneself up into a powerful individual that can contend with all the shit that's going on in the world. And because of that, we're coming upon hard times. You know, there's a I want to know who said it, so I'm going to look it up real quick. G. Michael Hopf said this in his novel, and it's hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. And we are in good times, but they're turning into hard times. Because I think we have become weak. And I don't mean that from a physical standpoint. That doesn't mean that we have to all go out there and lift weights and become ridiculously strong. And I'm not just directing this at men. I think this is the age of that quote. The age of that quote is old enough to where the term men was used for all human beings. I'm going to see if I can't get a date on that. I'm not. But I do know it's been around for a very long time. And so, that's not aimed at men as in male. It's aimed at the meta men as in human beings, as used in British parlance up until probably about a decade and a half ago, 2 decades ago. I mean, hell, you can even see in a lot of your 1990s movies where they would address all humans as man. So that's where that's coming from for the younger generation that watches this. But I think that's true, and it's not weakness in the sense that we aren't physically strong, because there are plenty of us that are physically strong, although that's going downhill too, in a broad sense. But I think it's more along the lines of we don't have the courage of our own convictions anymore. We aren't willing to stand out from the crowd, and we aren't willing to push back when something we don't believe in is being done. And I think we need to get that back. And I know that means that some people are going to disagree with me. And that by trying to empower people to be able to stand up for themselves, you know, some people will stand up to me because they don't agree with me. And in fact, a friend of mine and I had a dispute over something that in the broad sense we agreed upon, but it was the nuance we severely disagreed upon. And I think it's good that we could do that. I think that's a good thing. Not only that, but we were able to do it without ruining the friendship. And that's something that's gone by the wayside too. And so that's what I'm setting out to do. I'm setting out to rebuild that. What am I doing? Because, shit's getting dark, kids. It's getting real dark. You only have to look at the news for 10 seconds to figure that out. So, that's what I've got for you. That's what that's about. And I'm going to keep doing this as long as they let me keep making these videos. And if for whatever reason YouTube decides that they want to shut me down, then I'll find another platform and I'll figure a way to tell it to you. But there are a few things you can do. One, you can follow me on Facebook. It's McBain Manor. You'll find my avatar on there and his signature skull mask. So go follow me on Facebook. If anything happens to the channel, like if I can't post for, if I can't like do a video, or if I can't live stream for a day, it'll be posted there. You can also follow me on Twitter at Julian McBain. My real name is what I go by there, but you'll find me there. You can always match my ugly mug there to my ugly mug in my McBain Moments videos, and you know it's me. I do mostly shit post there. It's a lot of politics, but I do enjoy the Twitterverse. So please feel free to follow me there. And a couple channels for you to follow. Some of them philosophical. Some of them just channels I enjoy. For Entropia Universe content, make sure you follow Serial Overdrive and Scotty C93. Both of them put out excellent content. Serial's not doing so much Entropia Universe anymore, but he does do Entropia Universe. It's just not as common. Scotty puts out a lot of EU content. I think he puts out some really good EU content, actually. He passed me, like, he started a year or so after I did, and he blew right by me in subs, and he 100% earned it. So, go follow him. Lore Spade is an excellent channel to follow for gaming. He's mostly doing Fallout 76 now, but he did a lot of Entropia Universe content back in the day. It was really good, high-quality content, so go give him a follow or a subscribe. And then for other things, more cultural, well, when it comes to like shitposting gaming culture, the Russian Badger's hilarious. I watched his Fallout New Vegas videos and I just about died. So go check him out. For more basic culture stuff, I really like the Warrior Poet Society. Go check them out. And for those of you who are not American, this is a really good way to get some insight into certain aspects of American culture you may not understand. Especially American gun culture. So go check them out. So yeah, I think that's really all I've got. I mean, you know the source of the rest of my materials, so. Oh, and CGP Grey for culture. CGP Grey. If you want like good historical, cultural, philosophical stuff, that's not the typical that you'd be looking for. CGP Grey is awesome too, so go check out all those channels. I'm not sponsored by any of them. I'm just sharing with you the stuff that I consume, because if you're ever wondering, you know, how I put together who I am, it's you are what you consume. You are what you consume. You are the type of content you consume. And so, yeah, when it comes to the more baseline cultural stuff, those are the channels that I watch. So go check it out. Well, that and shitloads of Star Trek. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe. Oh, excuse me, and subscribe down below. We are on the road to 13 million subscribers, one subscription at a time, so make sure you subscribe. And as always, I really appreciate the support, and we'll see you in the next one.